Hi, welcome back to What's Wrong with This Picture. Dennis, before we left, we were talking about autofocus, and you were sort of hinting that maybe autofocus is a great tool, but you do have to spend a little time and practice with it. Is that right?
Well, yeah, there are a number of ways, especially with the more expensive cameras. The features that are available make it possible for you to focus in a couple of different ways.
Okay.
For example, we have the ability to actually control on the screen or in the viewfinder what point in that frame is going to be the focal point. Let's look at these screens here, and what we're looking at in the left side is kind of a default position where a lot of photographers set their camera to focus dead center in the middle of the frame.
Okay.
All right, once we have it set that way, that means that when I push the button halfway down to start to take that picture, the camera is going to focus on that point in the center of the screen. If I wanted to, I could move the point to any one of the other 8 dots in the screen. Looking at the center one now, I've got it moved over to the right and up one dot. In that case, it's going to focus at that point in the frame instead of dead center. So if I had something over there that I wanted to be the focal point of that picture, I would perhaps set it with that dot activated.
Okay.
Now we go to the third one over here, and all of them are activated. And that's all about being able to take pictures of groups of people, mm-hmm. or scenery, landscapes where you actually want to be sure that most of the frame or all of the frame is in focus.
Averages everything out a little bit. Is that how that works?
It averages what it sees and gives you a pretty good balanced focus picture.
Okay, but this is a feature that's available and what I'm looking at is a fairly complicated camera, and so
but even then, with this complicated camera, there are some simple features about it. For example, like many other cameras, you can take pictures looking at the back of the camera where we have an LCD screen. And if you activate the LCD screen, instead of peeking through the viewfinder, you can actually frame the picture looking at the screen from behind.
Okay.
In that particular case, we can still accomplish where the camera focuses and what part of the frame it's going to actually concentrate on.
Right.
And maybe we should look at
we took Courtney, our producer, out into the field, and so we could demonstrate the use of autofocus and focusing techniques on 3 different cameras. So let's look at our first video. You're going to use your autofocus by placing it on her, right?
On her eye, and then I'm going to come down here and shoot the shot.
Okay, let's do that one more time. How do you lock in the focus? Talk about it while you're doing it.
I'm going to take this and I'm going to put the center spot on her eye, and I'm going to push the button halfway down. That's going to lock in the focus, and then I'm going to shoot the picture by pushing the button the rest of the way down.
Okay. So that is with the DSLR and using the screen in the back. Now, I happen to shoot a lot of pictures with this little guy here. I do have a screen in the back. I also have a viewfinder, but I don't have all those little dots, and I don't necessarily. But I have to use autofocus in some way. I can't turn off the autofocus.
Right.
So let's look at the video, and then we can kind of talk about how this actually works.
Okay. Whether you're using an expensive camera like the one we just used, or we're using something that's much less expensive, you still have that same ability to decide what's going to be in focus. In the case of a small point and shoot camera, you may not be able to see it in the screen itself, but in this particular case, this one doesn't have a center focus area visible on the screen behind. But if I look through the viewfinder, I have a center point where I can put that on the face of the subject and then recompose the picture and push the button the rest of the way down, and it will take the picture retaining the focus point that I set earlier.
Okay, so this is how I'm going to try to blind you actually with this, but I've got you in the crosshairs now.
Okay.
I'm looking through my viewfinder, and I can just take the picture now after I've reframed it. Oh, my flash was not necessary apparently. But there we go. We've got a great photo of Dennis right there in the viewfinder, off center, but still in focus. Okay. Well, that's perfect. That actually helps me out a lot, because it's always an issue when you're trying to fight the autofocus when you don't have the manual control. One of the things that has happened, of course, in the last, well, not a few years, faster than we might have expected, is that the cell phone has become an all-purpose tool of many different kinds.
Right.
And I see that yours is bigger than mine, so I'm going to put mine over here. But the point is that this is a Droid camera, of course, and this is Dennis's. But cell phones are cameras.
Right.
And I said Droid camera, didn't I? It's a Droid cell phone, but it is a camera as well. And the fact is that 99% of people carrying cell phones are also carrying cameras and taking pictures with them. So let's look at our third demo, which talks about how to use a cell phone camera as and get the focus correct as well.
Dave, in the case of a phone camera, you may be just shooting with your cell phone. The same thing is true in most phone cameras. You'll be able to put the camera up to the subject, and you may even zoom in a little bit to get the right point. And then at that point you'll say, I'm putting this little square on the subject's face. I'm going to push the button partway down. There it turned green, which means I've focused. Now I can reposition the camera and reframe the picture, finish pushing the button the rest of the way down, and I've captured the picture with the image in focus where I wanted it in focus, because I pre-focused it in that little square.
Okay. Well, so I guess the point of this whole demonstration is what? That we no matter what kind of a camera we're using, we do have some control in one way or another in controlling the focus.
Absolutely, and it's important to understand that, because as we compose our pictures, we really want to be able to get as much control over where that focus happens within the frame as possible. So it's possible even though you don't necessarily have the most sophisticated camera in the world.
Mm-hmm. And then, if you don't have manual control, well, you have some way of doing that. Okay, well, we've got more coming up here on what's wrong with this picture, so please stay with us. We'll be right back.
For more TV like this from the world of RVs, head to rvnn.tv.